The first reading today tells us that graves will open and God will have you rise from them. And then the gospel has Lazarus, who is dead and is raised to new life. He gets up and walks out of his tomb. In our own time, one thing I have learned from the movies is if a grave opens up, nothing good ever happens. Though the one thing I have learned is from the Michael Jackson Thriller video that the undead are fantastic dancers. So what we're reading about today with Lazarus is not a George Romero film of the Night of the Living Dead or an episode of The Walking Dead. It seems that our society now has a lot of preoccupation with the dead coming back to life, don't they? TV shows about it and all kinds of movies about it. In the films, the dead come back for revenge. They come back to attack. They come back, unfortunately, to eat the living. And then the people are scared to death. And so they arm themselves to the teeth and they worry about zombies getting them. That is not certainly the case here with Lazarus. Lazarus is a sign of hope, a sign of joy, a sign, literally, of new life that God can give to us. And so a few thoughts on this is, first of all, we can ask ourselves, as a result of this story, where are the graves that exist in our own lives, the dead parts of ourselves that need to be resuscitated and brought back to life? Perhaps I have let patience, openness, or creativity die in me. I need the Lord to resuscitate me to be a true and confident disciple. Have we let compassion, hope, or love die in us? And have we become a true shadow of our former self? And so we ask the Lord to raise us up, and even more so, to stretch us. Father John Paul Caffiero, during the mission last week, talked about being an instrument of God's peace. And he made an interesting comparison, saying that with an instrument, you need to stretch the strings in order to get the kind of sound that you need and the kind of sound that you want. And so we also have to stretch ourselves to be the people that God has called us to be. We have to be more resilient and more pliable to let God work with us. And so we ask God to stretch us, to open our minds and hearts to new ideas and new things. We are called to roll aside the stone, the gravestone of fear or inertia, doing the same stuff over and over, or anxiety, so that we can allow Jesus to lead us into the light of a new day. And so Jesus says, Lazarus, come out. But he could very easily use our names and tell each of us, come out into the light, embrace a new time, and embrace the new life that God has in store for you. The second thought I had about this is my mom is 100% Irish. She's a McEnroe. And so she loves to go to the cemeteries. For her, it's like going to Disney World. And she goes to the cemeteries on my grandma and grandpa's birthdays and anniversaries of their death. And she talks to them, and she has no problem telling me that she talks to them. Those conversations are very therapeutic for her. After I gave this homily at the 7:45, a lady came up to me and said, the Polish people do it too. Maybe we all do it. That is, pouring out our problems to the people that we love, even though they have passed on from us. And so maybe Jesus did the same thing with Lazarus as he stood at the opening to Lazarus' tomb. And maybe it went like this. Lazarus, your sisters told me that you were ill, and I arrived 4 days late. I'm very sorry for that. But you know what? I knew that you would pass away, and I stayed away because there's something more that you can do even in your death. I had another plan for you. I regret to tell you, Lazarus, that your sisters short-sold your house and gave all of your clothes away to Goodwill. Sorry about that. But I'll be calling you back, Lazarus. You will be assigned to your community of new life. You will be assigned to your community of hope. Imagine next week when you go out and you cut the grass out in front of your house and your neighbors see you And they'll wonder, wait a minute, what just happened? It'll be kind of funny. I wish I could be there. But at the same time, you will convert them because of who you are and because of what God has done for you. And you are only the first of the many who will rise from the grave. You will come out. You will vacate this place of death and destruction. But you know what, Lazarus? You're the first of many who will die. I'm going to be the second. Lazarus, I'm afraid, because in just a couple of weeks, I'm going to take your place in this tomb. I'm not sure I really want to do this. I'll be in the grave just like you. Now my Father says he'll raise me up, but still I'm afraid. Will it hurt? What exactly will happen to me? You're here now, still and lifeless, but I'm going to give you life again, Lazarus. I pray that my Father will do the same thing for me in a couple of weeks' time. Then by my presence in this grave, I will bless the graves of all who believe in me, and they will rise again to new life. Lazarus, come out. Lazarus, rise now. Be free of this horrible place. Come back from the darkness into the light. Rejoice with your sisters. Rejoice with the community that loves you. And never be afraid again, because my life is always in you. Your sisters told me that if I had been here, you wouldn't have died. I hate to tell you this, that is not true. Because Lazarus, you're going to die again someday. This isn't for always. You will die a second time. Once again, I'm sorry about that. But know that when you die that second time, you will be with me in paradise. I promise you that, and I am true to my promises. So the message to Lazarus, and also to us, is to be confident, to be hope-filled in the midst of the destruction and the death that surrounds us. God tells us all of us will rise again, not like the Night of the Living Dead or all of its movies trying to imitate it, but we will be with Jesus in the glory of the Heavenly Father, and in that we can take our hope.